Hey, and welcome. This is Pastor John, Coffee with Pastor John. We're so glad that you're with us today, a part of MCC Briefing. We want to keep you informed of what's going on in the church and in the world. And oftentimes we do headlines and then commentaries about what's going on in the world. But there's a lot of other things happening, including at Millerville Community Church, where I'm the pastor. And these have been extraordinary times with COVID-19. And we've been trying to cope with changing scenarios, and every day is always changing, and we're adapting and coming up with new innovations. So just even last Friday, it was announced that the rules in Alberta have changed, and we can now have unlimited number of people attend a worship service, but we've got to follow all the rules. So the leadership is scrambling, and we're putting together outdoor services coming up this summer, and that's all in the works right now while we crank that up. So we're adapting, we're changing, and moment by moment while we deal with this weird 2020 that we're involved in. I have a guest with me today. Her name is SHARON Chambers, and she is the leader of the Compassion Team Ministry. Hi, SHARON. Are you
Good
there?
morning, Pastor John.
Good morning.
I'm here.
Oh, that's
Good
so
morning.
good. Good morning. Good morning. So, SHARON has been leading this team, which is a very unique team. They're just a wonderful team. And as the team name Compassion implies, you provide compassion to our congregation and beyond, I guess. And things have changed at Millerville. Your ministry prior to COVID-19 was one thing. Now I imagine it's had to adapt to this changing scenario that we're in. Is that right?
Yeah, for sure. Just like every other ministry, right? And
Yeah.
yeah, it's been interesting, for sure.
And
I think one of the things that
what have you noticed one of the biggest changes being?
well, I think the biggest change is, recognizing that we need to follow the regulations of social distancing. So that eliminated opportunities to go in and into people's homes to do visitation, and of course, hospital visitation wasn't happening, so there was just a real desire to stay connected with the people, but we couldn't do that on a one-on-one physical meeting. So we just found that the telephone conversations it's not something that wasn't happening all along. As each member of the compassion team had people that they were more connected with than the rest of us, and they were making contact by lots of times by telephone on a regular basis, even before COVID. But with the COVID, we realized that all of the congregation needed to have that sense of being connected. So
Yeah.
we instituted just calling everyone on a regular basis. So that's the biggest thing that's been going on.
So
hmm
when you call everyone on a regular basis, how often is that? Every day, or what? How
No,
often do
it's
you call?
we had talked about we had talked about doing it once a week, but as we progressed, the
Oh, I'm sorry. I had a conference. I had to reload my software here and reconnect to Sharon. I'm sorry about that. I had a
how often
connection
they would like to
problem.
be called. So yeah.
I just lost you there for a minute. I had a connection failure. I had to come back in, and I appreciate you holding up there for just a second. And that's the way it is with these live shows. You just never know. And now I've got a camera lag, and I'm going to fix that. And properties, refresh device. Okay, there we go. Hopefully that does it. Nope, it didn't. I'm off camera. Hang on. I'll be right there. I've lost my camera feed. Sharon, can you still hear me?
I can.
Okay. Hey, the only issue here is that I'm no longer on the air with my beautiful image, but hey, they can hear us, so that's not a problem. So, you've been calling around like once a week to everybody, is that right?
Well, we started out with the intent of calling once a week, but as we progressed, we learned that some people weren't requiring a phone call that often. So we just kind of made the decision based on who we were talking to and got feedback from the people we were calling as to how often they wanted to be called.
Oh, I see. So it varied and you customized it, but hey, you were out there contacting everyone, making sure they're okay. And initially, that's just to make sure that in our isolation, we didn't get too isolated so as not to get the help we needed, right? If there was intervention needed in someone's life, right? So
Yeah, that's correct. The initial goal was to just offer encouragement and make that connection. But as as it progressed, our goal also was to determine if there was needs that they needed that we could meet. And then one of the things that we had in mind was people needing, considering the vulnerable people and whether there was people that would be looking for someone to do their grocery shopping for them or to provide transportation. And
yeah.
that one of the issues with that was that the majority of us on the team are considered to be those, because of our age, we're considered to be in that vulnerable category. Yeah.
Yeah, isn't that something? All these active
Yeah.
volunteers are actually, 65 plus in their years.
Yeah, the majority of us are, but it was interesting because we've kind of collaborated with the High Country Helps and the Youth with a Mission. And so because we weren't in a position to do the transportation or purchase the groceries, actually I had my own son purchasing my groceries for me.
Oh, did
so,
you? Oh,
So
yeah.
we just, it was awesome. So we just improvised there and had, collaborated with basically the YWAM base who were in working with the High Country Help to provide transportation to people that needed it. So, we were able to make sure that that area was covered without us having to do it. So that was encouraging.
That is so great. And for our viewers and
Mm-hmm.
listeners who don't know, YWAM refers Youth with a Mission, and we have a base right here in Turner Valley. Many of those missionary-based organizations attend our congregation as well and are part of our fellowship. In fact, we're having one of the YWAM missionaries on tomorrow. And then you also mentioned High Country Helps, which we're also going to be interviewing on Thursday. So all this week we're having great interviews and talks with people from our congregation who are out there on the front line. So the Compassion Committee, it's interesting what has happened in the dynamics of this, because you were sort of waited for a request to come in or been made aware of something, and then you would act and provide what you could to help people. But now you're in a proactive
Right.
position where you're aggressive. You're calling and say, "Are you all right?" And finding where people are at. And
Yes.
that's a very different dynamic than what typically churches do. We're usually reactive rather than proactive and getting out there in the community. And that's
Mm-hmm.
been one of the long-term effects. That's actually a good thing, that we've become more proactive as a congregation with High Country Helps and other ways that we can get ahead of this thing and make sure everybody's okay. So that's a good thing, isn't it?
Yes, it is. And the
Wow.
gals that have been doing the calling have commented how much they're enjoying it, and what an encouragement it's been to them. And one of the gals who is probably one of our most recent MCC members,
Yeah.
she had commented how she's really looking forward to us actually coming back together again. So she
Oh,
can actually put a face to the voices that she's been speaking to and encouraging, So it's just been a really interesting dynamic, for
awesome.
sure. And another thing that has been really positive is, after you've made a few phone calls, people are, they're expecting the call, they're a little more prepared for you. And
Yes.
so we had people expressing prayer needs, and so that has been very encouraging to just come alongside and pray for people. And there was one young man with a young family and had lost his job, and just concerned about that. He also had some family health issues, and so just to be able to pray with him and hear him say what an encouragement that was, and then to bring somebody else alongside to just meet with him, on social distancing, of course, outside, and just coming alongside to pray with him. It's just been a wonderful opportunity to, more than we could even have imagined, how much you can just be an encouragement to people by just showing that you care and that you're there for them.
Isn't it? A lot of things start happening when that takes place. When we start connecting,
Mhm.
I really think one of the hardest things about COVID-19 is the isolation, because bad things happen when you get isolated. And then
Yes,
at any age, we are not made to be isolated. It might help us avoid a virus, but it creates all kinds of other problems, doesn't it, when you get isolated? So, and
yes, for sure.
you've probably heard that. But we are really social beings, and like you said, people are telling you that they want to associate faces with names and voices that they've been meeting on the phone. We are social beings, and it tells us just how important gathering together as a body really is. And until you go without it, you
Hmm.
don't realize, boy, it isn't just an option. We need to be together. It's part of our health and
Yes.
who we are. I know we're working with people with addictions, and we have a lot of people from Teen Challenge and Pritis here. And one of the key aspects of an addictive behavior is getting isolated. It's what causes a lot of that kind of behavior. And there was a lot of concern
Hmm.
with the changes happening, that people would see increased problems in their lives as isolation was enforced, and that would cause more problems in the homes. And one of the reasons we need to keep calling around and make sure everybody's all right. So we just don't
Yes,
know what's going to happen or what take place. So
that's
just take a moment
true.
here, Sharon, to say if you want to call in and talk to Sharon and myself to 867-292-3030, you can do that. Access code 466-4877. That's on your screen. And you're welcome to call in and join in on the conversation with Sharon Chambers and Compassion Team Ministry. And out of all those calls that you've been making out of there, I bet a few stories came through. People telling us about what life is like, and what I want to hear from as a pastor is I'm always concerned about how are people faring out there. How are they surviving this thing? What I hear on the news and what reality is can often be two different things. So I'm just kind of curious. Uh, you got any stories for us about how people are faring during this crisis?
Well, I think one of the things that was reported mostly back to myself was, with the gals making the calls, was just hearing people say how lonely they were.
Mm,
It is, isolation is difficult, and yeah, the loneliness has been a major factor, especially for people that are living alone.
wow.
Yeah, but there
Yeah.
was one gal that is excuse me, is a senior, and I had been visiting her on a regular basis before COVID, so we started FaceTiming together. Actually, it was her suggestion to me that we would FaceTime. she preferred that over just a regular phone call so she could see a face.
Yes.
And that has been very, very encouraging to just see her smile and spend time and share, her just dealing with the loneliness of not having people come. She's a very social lady, and so isolation is difficult for sure. But the FaceTime seemed to really make a difference in her life, so that was encouraging.
Well, that's cool. And it's interesting how technology has helped us during this time, like FaceTime and other things,
Yeah.
to creatively connect despite despite all the
Yes.
stuff that's going on. So that's good. So loneliness is a huge deal, and I'm glad you were
Yeah.
able to connect, and not just with her, but with many others, and let them know they're not
Yes.
alone and they're connected. Isn't that curious
Yeah.
that happens that way? My goodness, what a
Well,
sweetheart.
speaking of the tech, yeah, speaking of the technology, it's been very interesting because again, most of us are not all that savvy with technology, and we meet or originally we meet on a monthly basis. So we decided we were going to try the Zoom meeting. So we had some good laughs, and it was very interesting getting us all. I was quite amazed that we managed to do it, and so just connect with each other through the Zoom. So that was been. Even for ourselves, we were feeling the isolation. So just as a group of people of us coming together with the Zoom meetings was helpful to us to encourage one another too. So it's been a bit of a growing experience for all of us as far as the technology goes, but
Yes.
very thankful to have it for sure.
It's better than not having it, even though it takes a while to
hmm
get used to all this stuff. And it's interesting that seniors haven't been put off by it too much, that they found it helpful. So
hmm
I talk about seniors that that what's the 65 is the new 75. I don't know, something like that. Anyways, 55.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
we're not as old as we used to be at 65.
exactly. I didn't actually consider myself old until COVID.
Isn't that something? It
Yeah.
it the, you just hope people just treat you with a little more dignity at the grocery store if you ever actually show up there. So wow.
Yeah, yeah.
The world is 2020 has been a weird year so far, and I'm just amazed at all the changes that has occurred and how we've had to cope with it. So out of the stories that you've heard, so I've heard so far that loneliness is a big issue. I imagine some unemployment. You mentioned one young man who lost his job, and I imagine there are others that are feeling the pinch financially out there.
hmm
So that's a challenge as well. Did we're I've heard one leader in the community said that we were touched lightly by a pandemic. It isn't like, a lot of people passed away or families were devastated by this. I imagine there were a few deaths, I'm sure, but uh, pandemic wise, it was a light touch, but even though we've had to isolate. Um, do you feel like that, well, I don't want to get too political on you, Sharon. I want to comment on and have you comment on the whole big impact. What is the need out there that you're hearing from people? So far, I'm hearing it's loneliness, and there was some financial need based on employment issues. Uh, were there any other big needs that we need to be aware of, or what's going on out there?
Well, I'm not really aware of any more. I know the financial situation is probably the biggest for sure.
Hmm.
Absolutely. And then of course, we had the situation with the children being home, so that was a trying time for parents to be, and a lot of the
Uh,
parents were home working on top of homeschooling their children. So that created a lot of stress for sure in the
yeah.
home. But as time went on, we would hear from moms who mostly were the teachers, just share how much they enjoyed it and what a blessing it was. Even though it was a trial at the beginning, but that just
Ah,
that extra time spent with their children and getting to know them better. So, there's always a silver lining, right?
yes. And how you handle these things really does depend on perspective. I mean, the rain
Hmm.
falls on the just and the unjust. We're all going through this together, whether you deserve it or not. But our attitudes have a lot to do with it, don't they? Whether we grow with it or whether this causes us harm. And I imagine that's what you're doing in your calls, is dealing with perspective and attitude and where people are at.
Yes, for sure. And we have about three people in our congregation who don't have access to Wi-Fi, so they haven't been able to participate in the online services. And so, we've met with them on a weekly basis, giving them a copy of the script of the sermon. And it's been very encouraging just to meet with these people on a weekly basis and just determine how positive they've been through it, even though they're
Hmm.
not don't have that connection. They're just really upbeat, and they've been a huge encouragement to me. So again, your
Wow.
perspective is so important. Yeah.
Well, what that tells me, Sharon, is that somewhere along the line we did the right thing in terms of preparing people, that they had the right heart and the attitude to take this on. No one wanted this, but somehow we seem to be somewhat readied for it and not panicked by it, which is good news.
It is
I
very good news, and that's very evident. Yes.
It is so great. I always wonder about that. It's at times like this where nobody wants hardship or trial in their life. We don't go looking for those things, but when they do come, it's a test of our character and of who we are, to see how we respond to it and whether we rise to the occasion. So I'm hearing that overall people are doing pretty good in their response to an unwelcome situation.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's wonderful. And I'm also hearing that people are looking forward to getting together again as soon as we can.
Yes, that is one of the conversations that I've heard a lot, is people just saying, when is this going to happen? So they're getting a little more anxious about when is this going to happen, especially, when other churches have started to open up, but they
Yeah,
certainly understand the importance of being safe, and they recognize that is our biggest concern, is to keep people safe and do it in a manner that can include all of the congregation, right?
right. Very good. I'm going to cut to our commercial, Sharon, and then when we get back, I want to talk about the services coming up and how we're going to restart and let them know what's happening there. But here's our ad for Come.
Come escape the city. Come to God's country. Come to God's people. to God's Word. Welcome to Millerville Community Church. We're just a short drive away.
And there we go. Millerville Community Church. We're just a short drive away. And not far from the city or Okotoks, Black Diamond, Turner Valley. We're from all those areas and ready to serve you. And we hope that there is a day soon when you'll be able to come out to our facilities. It's a beautiful location out there in the country, wide open vistas all around us, foothills and mountains just over the horizon, and it is such a wonderful place. Our building never has been cleaner than it is right now. It has been scoured and sanitized and windows cleaned and everything, and we are certainly ready. Well, one of the things we're trying to do is begin our services very soon. We're setting dates for that even as we speak, and starting to get our worship teams back together again. Part of the issue is social distancing is still in place, and not wanting to cross-contaminate. And in order to allow people who want to come and to follow all those rules, we're looking at doing outdoor services. And if you've ever been to a Stampede breakfast at Millerville Community Church, you know what that is like, where you bring your lawn chair, you sit out on the lawn, and under our porched area, our musicians play, and that's what our worship service is going to look like. And we're looking forward to doing that very soon until we're allowed to move indoors with less and less restrictions. But once we go indoors, there's a whole lot more rules that kick into play and limits placed on us. As you may have experienced if you've ever gone shopping in Turner Valley, Black Diamond, or Okotoks or Calgary, there are people checking you in at the door and checking you out, and you know, lots of rules in terms of up this aisle, down that aisle, one way, and so on. So we're coping with all of that as we are making changes. It's not a simple startup. We know that other churches have started up with indoor services, but they've also had to limit who comes in and who goes out, and the flow within the building. And we think an outdoor service is going to work much better for us and what we're trying to achieve. Sharon, when we get back together, I know that people are really looking forward to getting back together for our worship service, for social as well as the worship of God. But I get the impression that when they get together again, they're thinking something other than what the Alberta government is recommending. Are they thinking it'll be just like it used to be? That when we get together again.
I haven't heard I haven't heard a lot of comments one way or the other, but I guess that's what we're all aiming for and desiring, is that we can come together as we did, embracing each other and not worrying about the social distancing and the whole gamut. So
we can shake
I think
hands.
The expectation is,
shake hands and hug and laugh hard and no masks, but that isn't what it is right now yet. So we're trying to deal with that. I know you're a walker, aren't you? You like to walk, right?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Yes. And are you still walking? Do you get out to walk?
Oh, yes. I certainly do, and
Good.
have a neighbor that I walk with on a regular basis.
Do you?
And I am also walking with a gal from our church, so yeah, there's always that. That was, I always encourage people to do that because there's no restriction on that. You can easily walk with a friend or and keep your distance, right? So that's been very helpful for my own well-being, for sure.
we walk our neighborhood as well, Sandra and I, and you're out walking. Are you seeing what I'm seeing, where there are a lot of other people out there walking, and the community's out there, we're all trying to escape our little prisons.
Yes, and they're very, very anxious to have a conversation. You
Yeah.
can really tell there's some out there that are very lonely, and they just love it if you'll stop and take the time to chat with them.
And I'm seeing children out playing, and they're being kids. They're doing what kids do. They're out biking and so on. And you can tell some of them are probably in their cohort, so it's all right that or their brothers and sisters. But hey, there's a community out there, so you don't have to stay isolated, which is a big issue. You can get outside your door, walk the neighborhood, keep social distancing. But from all I hear, a little sunshine goes a long ways to keep you healthy. So
Yes,
get out there and
yes.
walk.
Yeah, for sure. When this initially started, we were still cold here, and we had snow. And
Yes.
on one of my adventures out with a friend, we came across a lady that was in her front yard building a snowman. Now, this was just at the beginning, and the children were not out. Everybody was just being so careful and adjusting to this new
Yeah.
reality
Yeah.
that for the first month we didn't see very many children, if any, outside. So here's this lady. She says to us, "Where are the children?" She said, "I'm out making a snowman, hoping that some of them would come along." But it's been an adjustment for everybody. But yeah, and being outside is certainly a benefit.
Wow. What changes that we go through, and the new changes. Well, I'm hoping that some of these changes have been positive and that we won't abandon them as we get back to post-COVID-19 culture, whatever that might be or wherever that might come. The good news is, according to the Alberta government, we've been doing pretty good, and the figures have been really great, and we've been praised by our medical officers saying, "You're doing really good," so we're moving things ahead. And who knows, maybe fall will see a significant change. Looking for those
Yes.
antibiotics or whatever they're producing, antivirus stuff, whatever. I'm not a medical guy. What do I know? But we're looking for some change, and in the near future, we hope that will occur. But who knows? It's been a weird 2020. I haven't been able to predict any of this yet. So I don't know that I can predict the future anymore either. But it's good to know that we're keeping safe and we're following the rules. So part of the things that are changing that I hope that we keep, I don't know if you've heard this or what you think about this, but people have enjoyed getting those phone calls from your team and staying in touch and that proactive approach. Have you got a sense that that might be something that might be ongoing post-COVID-19?
Yes, I think I think it's something that we should definitely consider for sure.
Because we get wrapped up in the current thing, which the virus and the shutdown, but there's more going on in life than just that, isn't there? So there's a lot of things going on in this world that are crises within our life. And when we have something in place like you're doing with your compassion team and calling around and keeping in touch and meeting needs as they arise, that's a good model, that because a lot of people face a crisis but don't let anyone know that they're in that moment, right? Until it becomes a more serious issue down the road. So by calling
Yes, that's
around,
so true.
go ahead.
Well, and I think, in the Sunday service, we do have the coffee time, but it's very difficult to really have a meaningful conversation with someone you can make the connection, but
Yes.
I think we need more than that for sure, than just what you can do in a Sunday morning service.
And a private conversation over the phone is different than standing in the middle of a lobby with a cup of coffee and 20 other people around you talking at the same time. You sometimes can't get to what you really want to say or share with someone else. So yeah, I think it's a wonderful thing to keep. The other thing we started was Vespers, which is evening prayers, weeknights, Monday through Friday at 7. And a lot of people have been enjoying that. And I've been asked to keep that going post COVID-19. So there are other changes that we've put into place in response, but we might just keep doing, keep
Mm-hmm.
keep these things moving right along. So your committee is actually, there's quite a few people on your committee, isn't there? On your compassion
Yes,
team.
there's 7 of us presently. Yeah, and each of them have their own little expertise. So it just seems like the Lord brings along the people that we need at the time that we need them. So it's been a very interesting, rewarding ministry for sure.
And so needed at a time like this. And from what I hear, that need isn't going to go away anytime soon. In fact, there's a long-term economic crisis that is caused by shutting down industries, and our own oil industry in Alberta has taken a bad hit. So the need for your team and for High Country Helps and other initiatives that we have, I don't think are going to go away anytime soon. Do you?
No, for sure.
Yeah, there's going to
Yes,
be
it's
needs.
going to take some time. Mm-hmm.
Yes, it's going to take some time to deal with the after effects of all of this and to be ready for that. It to assume that life will be good and always good and no bad ever happens is usually not a good bet. You should figure that there will be rainy days and hard times, and to plan for that and to have that in our life. So I'm glad your team is there. My thought is that there might be someone out there who says, I would really love to be a part of a team like that, or to help out the compassion team and what they're doing. Are you open? Do you have too many people right now that you can't use more help, or would you be willing to receive more volunteers?
Oh, absolutely. There's never too many. And personally, I think it's the most rewarding ministry in the church. So
Well, there you
I
go.
just encourage people. Yeah.
What
For sure, we always welcome people.
What kind of person are you looking for? Are you looking for big bold people? Are you looking for shy people? What kind of characteristics would help a person in this ministry?
Well, you will be used, whatever your personality is, and I can assure anyone that's interested at all that we all have a heart of compassion, but our personalities are quite different on the team, and that's just what makes us so interesting and I think effective, because we do use our own personalities. It comes out, and even our backgrounds. We have one gal on the team that her profession, she's retired now, but her profession was a background in social services. And when she approached me about coming on, we just had a single mom that was dealing with just navigating the system and working with her caseworker to be reinstated with her children. And so here this lady was most beneficial, encouraging her and coming alongside and working with her and the social worker. So, it's interesting how it all comes together and how the Lord brings the people. We had
Yes.
another lady that came on that came to me and she says, Sharon, what are you all about? I had a dream last night and the Lord told me to be part of the compassion team.
Oh
What
my
do you do?
goodness.
You know?
Really? Oh,
So that's just,
wow.
yeah, that is exactly how it's come into being. And so I encourage anyone, if they have a sense that the Lord is calling them, please step forward. You will be used and you will enjoy the group. We really look forward to our week or our monthly meetings. That's just kind of our time of coming together, brainstorming about what's working, what's not. And we pray together, we have devotions together, and we totally are encouraged by that. We are huge support to one another, even though our goal is to reach out and encourage others. We find that it's a big encouragement to each of us as well.
That is so awesome. And it's like the Lord knew that you needed this team at this time to do this good work. And we're just thrilled how God puts things together for us. And even as He did that for your team, I'm sure He's doing that right now for our future and whatever is coming next, and how we're going to handle that. Wow. I'm so grateful for your team and all that you do, and really enjoy working with you guys as pastor. I just want to make a comment on this, just in case other people don't know this, but the compassion team is our front line. You guys are out there making calls, staying in touch, finding out what's going on, right? And then
Right.
when does Pastor John get involved? He's not visiting everyone and calling everybody, but how do I get involved? What triggers my involvement?
That's a good question, and we had a situation where um, there was a gentleman that we, and following up with phone calls, we felt that he could use a pastoral visit, and so I called you, and you responded, and it was very helpful. So yes, we try to kind of screen that. What happens is I'm actually not one of the official callers, even though I have a group of people that I call on a regular basis. But they would the callers would contact me if they felt there was something that the elders should know about, and then I would forward that information on to the elders. So yeah, we're just all working together. I think it's. I hope it's being effective for sure.
I don't think people realize all that's available to them out there, both through charities, through government, and through the congregation, that there are a lot of organizations and ways people can receive help. We live in a wonderful province, a wonderful country that provides a lot of great resources for people. And your team is very aware of a lot of those resources, aren't they? And how the other people can access what they need in their time of crisis. And that's a big part of what people are needing, is just good advice and information. What do I do? And where do I go? Who do I talk to? Right?
Yeah, that's for sure. Mm-hmm.
Wow.
And we had a situation, our goal is not just to keep our focus on our church members,
yes.
but to expand out into the community. And so, we work closely collaborate with the food bank. So we're aware of people there that are in need, and we've been able to. I've been able to give them direction as to what social services are available to them. So, it's not like we're just working only with our focus is not only MCC. It's the community for sure.
And it's a real team play with us and other organizations
Mm-hmm.
that we're closely affiliated with. And
Yes.
and with the community at large, and that is always great. We grow as a community, not in isolation from one another. So, hey, if you want to, if you've been inspired by Sharon today, by her ministry that the Lord has put together, and if tonight you wake up with a vision of being, you call Sharon Chambers. So you can reach her by calling our church phone number, and they will put you in touch with Sharon Chambers, the compassion team and her ministry. She's a marvelous, warm lady, as you can tell from our phone call today. I want to commend Sharon because this is what she just did took courage. It was a scary thing to be invited on our show today to be interviewed. And Sharon, I commend you for your courage in all of this. Way to go, girl. You did it.
Thank you. You
And
have a way of stretching me.
Well, it's my job. That's what they hired me to do. So
That's right. You're doing it well.
God is good, and I just appreciate that. 1 second. I have construction going outside my window there. I had to close it. So they're building out here. I don't know if you can hear it in the background. But I so appreciate you, Sharon, and your initiative, and I think God is stretching us all. Wouldn't you agree?
Absolutely, yes.
Yeah. But it's so
That's
wonderful.
a good thing.
And it's a good thing. And I think it's wonderful that the Lord is doing that, and we are experiencing his blessings as a result of that. Who knows what lies ahead, but hey, it's great to be in service with the Lord right now doing these things. So if you're watching this at a later time, we encourage you to contact the church if you want to get involved or want to know other ways that you can be of help. Or maybe you're a resource that the compassion team needs to be made aware of, that you have available some way of helping others, and you want to be added to their call list if that particular need arises. Just call the church, and Millerville Community Church asks to be connected to Sharon Chambers, and they'll be happy to do that. Thank you, Sharon. We're going to sign off now with an ad, but I thank you again for coming on, and blessings on you and your team, and we are so proud of you guys and all that you're doing.
Thank you.
All right. God bless. And as we're going to sign off in just a minute, just to let you know that we got new shows coming up. And we've got tomorrow, YWAM, Youth with a Mission, has a mission to Myanmar. And we've got the Lumpkeys back, who have been working on a wonderful publication on Precepts Bible Study series they're using overseas. A lot of people in our own congregation have been working on that. We're going to hear about all that and what they've been up to. They've just gotten back from overseas where they've been isolated during the COVID-19, and we're going to hear their story tomorrow. And then on Thursday, we're going to have our group, High Country Helps. You might have heard of them. They're our response team that's been put together that has morphed into a community organization supported by the ministerial and what they're up to. And we have Cheryl Brown, who is the coordinator for this outreach, this community initiative. We want to hear from them, what they're up to and what they're offering and what's going on with High Country Help. So these are coming up real soon, so do turn into their show. And don't forget about Vespers, every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday evening at 7 p.m. And join us for a short prayer time that gives you a little peace at the end of the day. Here's our ad for Vespers.